All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're back for our third game of this BO5 Grand Final between 4Zoomers and Undying, and it is MLP Dota and the lovely johnxfire. Jonathan, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. Game number 2 is a good showing from Undying, back in top form, ending that out in about 27 minutes. Zoomers tried something different. They went back for the Gunner Earth Spirit, but they couldn't deal with the Lycan. So I guess in that case, your two favorite heroes, the Lycan, is definitely stronger there, Mike. We'll see what Zoomers has in mind. They take the Mirana away from Moon Meander, so I'm sure Undying, there's some yelling about getting on his level coming out from Moon. Does take out the Rubik now, but I'm sure there were some choice words in team chat when they saw the Mirana stolen away from him there.
Oh, I'm sure there were. And if people aren't aware of that interview, not the one during the NADPC, but there was multiple great Moon Meander interviews. You can look it up on YouTube. They're all over. Really enjoyable. Definitely worth a watch. Still, 4Zoomers, they go into the Enchantress as well. So now you've got this lane dominant support, but that is the support duo of 4Zoomers. So there's, as you would say, John, there's no flexibility. And Undying, they say if you take our Mirana, we're going to take your Alchemist. I think that's a good trade for Undying.
It's very confident as well for Undying here, just going into the Alch. We always say that about when Zoomers pick it up. It's the same case here for Undying, but Zoomers, they started with two supports, and these supports don't have the strongest stuns on hand. You're going to need setup for the Mirana in the off lane now, but Undying are going to be looking for the strong off-lane combos to ban out. Probably not going to see a Mars this game, as, well, giving the Mars away to Zoomers would be a bad idea. However, Undying do have first pick in the next phase, so they might just leave the Mars in. Maybe Zoomers will have to ban it out themselves, but it's looking like a good Alch game. Like, you might have the pure damage from the Ench. Maybe early on you can control up the Alch, but if Tomato just sits back, farms up, we might see what happened for Zoomers in the first game happen this time for Undying with Tomato. So just needs to focus in, hammer up the farm, get the Battle Fury going, and start running around afterwards. Zoomers, for their part, probably have to look for a core that can carry a Scotty, maybe consider the Spirit Vessel build-up on Mirana, and get that done.
Sure.
Want to point out as well from that last game, right? Like, Moon Meander with the Lotus Orb to get that dual, what's that? What do you call it? Duel of the lightsabers in Star Wars, right? The duel of the lightsabers going with the Omni Slash bouncing through. I'm sure he had some choice words in that moment as well.
Tomato had the high ground, John. You never, ever go into the high ground. Definitely bad news. John, I couldn't help but notice as well, and this is a conversation that's come out a lot from our viewers in the Twitch chat, so I thought I'd bring it up. Do you prefer pancakes, waffles, or crepes? List it in priority, please.
Difficult.
No. Come on, quick.
That is very difficult.
We've got two bands left. Hurry up, John, quickly. Top 3.
Crepes, waffles, pancakes.
Damn, I agree with you on that. Crepes are...
Wow.
Yeah, crepes are legit probably the number one. I mean, waffles are pretty good. But the French really outdid themselves with the crepes, I've got to say.
Yeah. They're excellent.
Thank you for that, Jonathan.
You get like a mango crepe. With a little Nutella in it. I don't know, like that's what we have here. Mango with a little whipped cream, maybe a touch of Nutella. Really nice stuff.
We just have Nutella. Banana, maybe.
Just Nutella.
Whipped cream.
Banana. It's pretty good. I can't say anything about banana and chocolate.
People like the strawberry ones, the strawberry Nutella, and it's just like, what do you...
Strawberry Nutella?
Mm-hmm. So uncultured.
There's such a thing?
So uncultured. It's just tangy and sweet. It's...
I've never seen it in the supermarkets. Then again, you know, I'm in the Philippines, so we don't get a lot of stuff down here. But that sounds interesting. I don't know about that.
Banana's the way to go.
Because Nutella's, yeah, bananas really good in crepe. Even on pancakes and even on waffles. Although maybe not waffles. So banana pancakes are good if you haven't tried it. But breakfast choices. I guess Zex is in chat talking about.
He is.
Curse you, Zex. Stop it.
Back to the draft.
I haven't had breakfast.
We've had with the ban stages over, tied, and Void Spirit removed, and we go into the park for Undying, which I think is a pretty darn good pick. We've seen Brawl play this quite a few times. Obviously, he knows the hero very, very well, and does tend to perform very well on it. I think in combination with the Alch, just being able to lock heroes down and not allowing them to kite the Alch around is always going to be a really strong point for the Alch Puck combo. 4Zoomers now. will go into Davion,
Ooh.
the antagonist
Ooh.
of the anime, which is due in 4 days, by the way, on Netflix.
Protagonist. He's not the antagonist, is he?
Oh,
That would be a twist. Did you? Oh, no, you can't spoil. There's no way he's an antagonist. Is he? Is this a bait?
have I secretly watched it without you knowing?
Maybe. I mean, you have Murano as well, so this is literally the anime draft for Zoomers. Maybe they get the Luna and the Evoker and somehow make that work. I don't know if you can, but they could go full anime draft somehow. Undying. Dragonite for the puck. It's not too bad for the puck. You still hold that lane steady. The DK is going to be hard to bully out, but you're a puck. You've got great magic damage to deal with the physical armor. You can dodge out the Dragon Breath with your phase shift if you are clever with it for Brawl. So he has some options to play with. Zoomers, though, they have this stable setup for the Murano Arrow, which is interesting, right? Like, Murano DK. Anyway, you get into Dragon form, Dragon Tail up, Arrow follow-up. We've seen this multiple times. Very strong combination. And that does give you some momentum there for the Zoomers. And Undying do go back into this DP, so it might be our Brawl hero, but it could also be our Dubu hero. So very open with the DP to close out this phase. They get some push going for themselves with the DP pick. Zoomers do have some good push on hand with Enchantress DK, so this is kind of counteracting that. They will have to play around the timings of the exorcism if possible.
There it is,
Zoomers
John.
do go into the Terrorblade.
There it is.
Ooh.
The power of anime is here for 4 Zoomers.
Oh no.
It's gonna work, John. I'm telling you. You can't beat anime. You can't beat the weebs, John. They're too strong. You've just got to accept it.
Oh, but you're playing against the King Weeb himself, Moon Meander. You know, he's one of the top weebs. Maybe not as big as Envy.
That is true. He's
but
kind
he's
of
up there.
He's gotten a Titan. I mean, the Alchemist is kind of like a Titan, right? Sort of. You haven't watched
no
the anime.
Elder Titan.
You haven't watched.
Kind of. I mean, I guess in a way, sure. I guess
He's being
I
controlled.
guess you could say that.
He's being controlled
Yeah.
by like a human, I guess. He's not really human, but
Not
you know,
Yeah, like something that feeds him a serum.
it's an
So
anime
I
battle.
guess.
We're in an
Sure.
anime battle, John.
Right. Now, the issue is, will Zoomers win with the Dota anime? That's the big question. They have to play around the timing of this Terrorblade. Tomato will have to try to farm up like crazy to counteract the TB here. Of course, Terrorblade's a natural Scotty builder as well. So you do have that way of mitigating the heals from the Alchemist. That's a really good response from Zoomers. You do have some magic damage on hand here with DP Puck, even a Rubik, but nothing bursty. It's not like instant burst to deal with the TB. Maybe Undying finds something to plug their gaps here. I do feel like it should be a Dubu DP here, and we're going to see the last pick for Saberlight coming true. Or maybe even just Saberlight Puck off lane and leave Brawls here for last, perhaps.
I think
They do have that flexibility going into the last phase here for Undying.
No, I do agree with you on that. I still think Saberlight's going to have the last pick overall. I would prefer Brawl just plays the puck mid. I mean, we've seen it so many times, but he does a great job on it. I'm pretty sure Saberlight's going to get last pick here. Unless it's an offlane elk. And they just rush Aghanim Scepters for everybody. Think about it, John.
We've seen that before.
Ags Rubik, Ags Puck, Ags DP. There's value,
It came
John.
out in Southeast Asia. It
happened.
was there. I forget what team, but it came out. I mean, it could work.
No,
I just don't know if you really want to do
It's
that.
not
but
gonna
it
happen.
could work. It's a nice meme. I think I'd approve of it if you had a Lycan last pick, so we can get everyone as a wolf. That's all I want. Like I was,
That'd be pretty lit.
Brawl didn't go for the Ags. I want to see the Ags. I want to see Terrorblade spitting out as a wolf while he's metamorphosis. That would have been really fun. Imagine
would've.
Omni Slash while he was a wolf. I don't know how that even animates. Does his body just pop up? It seems like the case. I wouldn't know.
We'll find out one day. 4 Zoomers, last pickup now. So they need what looks to be an off-lane pickup. You could run the DK off. Kind of feels meh, to be honest. Prefer to give Brax something else. Something a bit more impactful than, say, the DK.
I'm seeing chat. They're getting lit up on the pancake tier list, Mike.
What do you mean? If
They're like,
anybody
no,
tells
pancakes
me...
have to be first, apparently.
No. I know we're in North America. I know. Oh, never mind that for a second, John.
Ooh.
Lone Druid is upon us.
Ooh.
I'll get back to that
Offlane
conversation in a
DK.
second. Offlane DK it is, or offlane Lone Druid. Because you think about
Possibly.
it, if it's a safe lane Alk up against the off-lone Druid, it's going to be a pretty hard lane. The OD doesn't need to stand in the Acid Spray either. You could make the argument that the Spirit Bear might die because of the minus armor from the Acid Spray. They could harass it out nicely, but I guess we'll see. Did we ever cast Gunner playing mid-lone Druid? Was that ever a thing? I can't remember it happening.
I think once. I think Jinispris did it once when we were casting them, and literally just once. Yeah, just one instance I can remember somewhat. But for Zoomers, I mean, Terribly Lone Druid, even if this is a more selfless Lone Druid, you still want some farm to scale into late game. So the farm distribution is what I'm worried about here for the Zoomers, and even the DK. You might want a fast BKB Blink, and then maybe looking to itemize down the line for, say, a Maelstrom into Mjolnir or an SNY into the Ags for late game scaling. I'm not sure if there's enough map space to sustain at least two of these heroes. Like, the Terribly Lone Druid alone are just very greedy. Undying, they're going to need to find a way to mitigate that, punish the greed, while also tying in with their own draft. They are still looking for that Saberlight hero. Again, they don't have a lot of options. Mars is out, Tide is out, Underlord's out, even the Brewmaster's out. So they're going to have to dig in deep for what they want here. It needs to be something active and something that gives them some great follow-up for the Dream Coil.
Oh, hello. Legion Commander, who should have been in the anime, by the way. I prefer her over Luna, personally, but she's here. Now, this is a hero we don't get to see at all in the current meta. Very weak hero, still very strong with the Purge, but that's about it. How are you feeling about it? I mean, it gives a nice way to get rid of the TB illusions with the overwhelming odds. Jules kind of nice if you can catch the LD.
Yeah.
Any other reasons you're seeing here for the LC? Am I missing something?
Not particularly. I think it's mainly just to deal with the TB, maybe apply some pressure onto the LD as well. It is a Gunner LD mid, so offlane DK for Brax.
Okay.
I think you can just build up with the LC. Like, if you play aggressive, you get some early duel wins, which you should be able to find with a Puck and Rubik. You start to build up, you can buy that space out for the Alchemist, you can sort of save people from being entangled by the bear as well, which is one issue you might have with the LD if it does build up. And there are some answers there. So we'll just have to see what Undying pulls out here. They're going to have to play on point with the Brile DP. They do actually go into the Puck for Dubu. So it's not the support DP, but it's still a core DP here for Brile down mid.
Wow.
And DP versus DK, or DP versus Lone Druid, kind of hold steady. Both sides have some ways to clear out those creep waves and get their farm going. Brile will want to apply pressure onto Gunner really early on. You don't want the LD to get farm. You just want to keep these two greedy heroes shut down, and Terribly and LD. Undying will have to play a faster game because of that.
So, John, final question before we get into the game. Who has the better anime lineup?
That's a difficult one. I'd have to say I'm actually leaning towards Zoomer's draft just a bit more. I think if you actually do drag this game out long enough, Terribly it's going to be hard to deal with. The issue is getting to that point. Like, this is not going to be an easy ramp up for Sammy. He's going to have to be very disciplined with when he pops the Metamorphosis, where he farms, when he joins fights. And the rest of his team has to be sort of ready to buy space out for two cores. So it's really down to Brax being a bit more active, buying space out for the LD and the Metamorph and the TB out.
Smoke on smoke situation here, John. 5 on 5. They might run right into each other, and they do. War has begun. Husky is going to back off. Brax will take the front lines. Brile, though, is going to back off himself. Now they have the high ground. Do you want to fight into this, full Zoomers? It looks like they do. Arrow not going to connect on Tubu, but rather they get the DP. Acid spray down. Brax is dropping low, though, in Moon Meander. He gets the first blood. Onto Ocean, they'll get another. 2-0 so far. Gunner is trying to run. He's got no bear around, John. Did the bear die in the middle of all that?
Nah, he sent it away. It's in the bot rune.
Gunner, where do you go now?
He's so low.
Hide in the trees. They're going to chase him down. I mean, the bounty rune's still 10 seconds away. Moon Meander, he is dedicated to find Gunner. Tomato, acid sprays up. It won't give vision, however, so he's not going to waste it. That'll be it, but Gunner's kind of stuck. He's going to have to TP. He should be just fine to.
They get all bounty runes. Look at Gunner, the micro and the bear.
Very
Getting
nice.
all of them, so they lost 2 heroes, but they get the bounties in return. I don't think Zoomers are going to mind that too much, considering what they got out of it. And they do get to break into their lane safely. So you don't lose Gunner. He still has his bear to play with level 1. Wasn't taken out. Brawl's going to have to contend with that lane. And Gunner should be able to last it fine here. Worst case scenario is you stay out of range, let the bear do all the work. Brawl, you know, he can get some good harassment out, but it's not enough to control out the bear with 1,100 HP. So Gunner's going to have some leeway there in finding his own last hits and get that start going.
Top lane as well, John. A bit of a tri-lane going on. Husky is there with Ocean and Sammy. Saberlight sitting right back. He can't really get in range to just start right-clicking Sammy on the TB. And I'm wondering if 4 Zoomers is completely dedicated to keeping this tri-lane going, but it does seem as though they are. Now, I suppose the DK can just be perfectly fine farming up against an Alk anyway. There's no real need to have a support around for that DK, though. As I say that, he's taking a lot of damage. But he is going to be just fine, and they are indeed going to TP down Ocean anyway.
Yeah, it's a potent lane for DK plus Mirana. At the least, you have a stun to set up for Arrow if you find an opening, so Tomato's going to have to watch that spacing. He's already pretty happy with this lane, though, just being able to get the last hits to get a good pull off. And all Tomato wants is to hold steady, get his farm going. Rax is just going to have to try to play with his durability, toss his body forward. He does not have Breathe Fire yet, but once that's up, that should make it trickier for Tomato to secure last hit. So you will have tools on hand to slow down the Alk at the very least. And Ocean, of course, there's always the threat of an Arrow. The Alk is not tanky early on. If you misstep and get Dragon Tail into Arrow, you will just die. You have to be very cautious about that if you're Tomato.
Saberline's still taking a lot of damage up at that top lane. Husky being very annoying with the impetus from the Enchantress. Looking back at mid, Brawl has really taken a huge lead, John. 15-5 in comparison to the 7-0 of Gunner. Looks like Brawl's the one actually having a free lane right now.
Yeah, it's down to the fact that the LD might be able to find last hits, but he doesn't have wave clear. Brawl has, you know, Crypt Swarm to just spam out, to just keep getting the last hits up. And if you find the bear, if you find the actual hero, you can actually melt him really quick. Gunner is not tanky early on, doesn't have the greatest armor stats, doesn't have the highest HP pool. So if you cop a couple of those Crypt Swarms and a couple of right clicks, that's enough to really turn that lane around.
Things will slow down just a little bit. Saberlight really wants to try and get as aggressive as possible while Husky's being forced back. So you do see him maxing out the overwhelming odds to have that magical burst up against the TB. Mid Meander, very nice pull. Husky's going to try and interrupt this. They could punish him if he gets too far. In fact, they are going to try. Nice pull back from Moon Meander. Back onto Husky now. Lift it back. They might just have enough, but no. Stick charge was there. He had Fairy Fires anyway. And the pull is already over.
Yeah, they didn't manage to clear out many creeps from that pull as well. So the wave is just going to stack up. It's a double wave coming in for Sammy to farm up. And he should be able to find it. Metamorphosis is still a ways off, though, but this is ample time now for the supports to make their way mid.
Oh.
And the creep dies right then.
I mean, level 1 enchant is a pretty short duration on the enchanted creep, unfortunately, and he just needed +1 second. Still, bot lane, Arrow not going to land from Ocean. Unfortunate, but the creep wave was kind of blocking his way, and he tried to go to the right side, but it still doesn't work out. They are still forcing Tomato away. In fact, they get another Dragon Tail stun, and they'll get the kill. No arrow necessary.
No, that's a really big pickup now for the side of Zoomers, getting that pressure onto Tomato, and he has to respect the amount of damage that's coming through here. for the side of Zoomers. Like, once they get the damage off, you aren't tanky on the alcohol. Ocean will trade away his life, but you're still really happy about finding Tomato, and Brax sets up on the DK now. Level 4, gonna be hard to zone out now.
And he will be. 90 runes. Saberlight gonna be able to snag one away from Sammy. Sammy does get a courier from Moon Meander. Meanwhile, Moon Meander still being chased down. Husky gonna be able to get the kill. That level 2 enchant cannot be underestimated. Your creep just gets so much bonus damage. And of course, the duration's a lot higher. And the slow amount, if you do commit the enchant on a hero, is pretty ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it just locks you in for such a long time. And with that, the Zoomers, they do find 2 kills for themselves. They are lagging slightly behind in farm, but this is against an Alk. You're getting that extra value.
Sammy?
Tomato.
Oh, Sammy. That's going to be a big pick-off if they get him. They don't have the mana. Looks like he's going to be just fine. He'll salve up.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Tomato. Tomato. He's going to die. Ocean. They get him another time, and this dual lane of DK Mirana really proving to be very effective. And of course it is, John. It's in the anime. It's going to be canon.
It's just very potent coming out there. Good scan as well from Zoomer, spotting Brawl going down mid. They're going to be cautious, and he doesn't have Exorcism leveled up. He does want to find these kills. Sammy's way far behind, but they don't spot him yet.
Very sneaky from Bryle. No Exorcism up, though. He's just going to have to abuse Spirit Siphon, and Sammy should realize he's being blocked right now, and he does. Or perhaps not. He's going to try and hide in the tree line, just in case. While this is happening, it looks like Gunner's been trying to apply some pressure into that mid-tier 1 tower. Tomato now is taking over this mid-tier 1, but he's not going to be able to defend this. Not up against a DK Lone Druid of all things. He's going to have to just sit there and watch his tier 1 go down, and if it does go down without a defense, that's going to be really detrimental to Tomato's farm. Brawl's going to come in, Dubu as well, just to make sure they can't burst it down. Of course, they can just wait for the next siege creep. The faster you get it, the better for your team when you're up against an Elk.
Yeah, and this is a slow start for Tomato. Like, those deaths really set him back. He hasn't been finding the best amount of last hits as well. Still up there, number 2 in net worth, but you generally want to be ahead on the Alk. And Tomato is opting for the Radiance build-up here, just to have that presence against these physical cores.
Saberlight's still having such a rough time on that LC. Really just got nothing in terms of farm at the moment. Gonna be one of those tough LC games, it seems. Oh, you look back at Gunner, he's having a great old time on that Lone Druid. No struggles whatsoever for him, 48-1. Already got the Orb of Corrosion and the Phase Boots up on the bear. It's going straight into the Blitz Knuckle. Moon needs to be a little bit careful here down at the spot lane, but great positioning from the Rubik just to make sure he could back out if that was to happen. But I like what Gunner's doing. He's constantly just trying to force different lanes in, to force the side of Undying to continue to rotate. And that's not what Undying want to do because they have an Alchemist. And they'd rather just make sure Tomato's safe and farming. As you can see, Dubu now showing up down at the bot lane to make sure that Gunner does not commit.
Yeah, and it's just not safe for Tomato in any spot of the map. Like, his top jungle's being invaded by Husky. Level 4 Enchantress has so much more presence in securing these camps, and even Saberlight just can't get space out. Like, he's being surrounded up top, and there's not much he can do as the LC to stop this.
Saberlight. Dragon Tail is up in a second, and they're going to be able to get this LC, surely. It's a lot of damage. Lift back. Saberlight going to try and run. They have the enchant slow, though, from Husky. They'll get the kill. Now they're on to Moon Meander. Stun is up in a second, and they will be able to land it. Can they land the secondary stun? Yeah, they definitely can. And that'll be a double kill now for Brax. And of course, a tier 1 top tower to drop. And 4 Zoomers so far are playing this game really well.
Yeah, it's just perfect coming out from the Zoomers. Undying, we're trying to get some space down mid. They do manage to get some good damage onto the tier 1, but not enough to kill it off. And that's going to offset Bryle's Exorcism use, as their mid will melt.
That it will. Stun out onto the DP. They'll glyph up. Saberlight to rush in. He's going to go for the duel. He'll try onto Brax. I don't think they have the damage, and they don't. He's still going to try and run. Brax should be fine. Now Gunnar coming in with the Spirit Bear onto Dubu. They might just get the puck. Phase shift is not going to be enough. And Undying, they're trying their best to defend this tier 1 tower. But there's a siege creep on the way now. And I believe Gunnar will be back.
Yeah, they're going to be able to just rip right through the bear to siege up front. And Zoomers are working this draft perfectly. Like, again, they've got great push potential with the DK and LD. They're getting space out for Sammy Boy to still find his farm. Whereas for the side of Undying, like, sure, Tomato's jungling up. But since he's going for Radiance, he's just going to be a lot slower here until he gets that up. And once he has that up, he needs to stick back, still farm up, hope to out-carry basically 3 carries on the side of Zoomers. And that's a lot that the Alk needs to build into. So we'll see if the investment pays off for Tomato, but again, he's not even safe in his own jungle. Husky's just always keeping tabs on him.
It's very smart from Husky, because you can always enchant a creep as well that Tomato's trying to kill, and it's just griefing the Alchemist while he's trying to farm. Speaking of griefing the Alchemist, Gunnar does get the tier 1 mid tower now, and that means the Dire jungle is open for business. Except it's 4 Zoomers who are opening up business. Tomato gonna have to be very careful now. Stubu and Saberlight are gonna kind of just be the shields for their Alchemist. But Brax, no fear in the world, is gonna rush straight in on VLC. Husky's gonna be fine. They're still gonna go for the duel onto the DK again. But again, they aren't gonna have the damage output. Saberlight, he's gonna back off. Brax will TP out. Husky's sticking around. He wants to fight on his own. Bryle should be able to get the kill now. Crypt Swarm is up, and he will get it. In fact, Sammy gets a trade. Dubu goes down.
Yeah, and overall, you're a lot happier in Zoomer's hand for that. Kill goes on to Sammy. He gets a gold injection off of that. He did pop Metamorphosis, though. He's going to want to make something happen that maybe just clear out the top jungle still. Keep that control up and keep the gnawing farm away from the Alk. So Tomato still has very few spaces to farm up in. He is very close to at least finding that Sacred Relic, but he'll need a recipe to really have that flash farm on hand. And it's just slow going. Like, he's still up number 1 as the Alk, but it's not like Gunnar's too far apart. It's not like Sammy's lagging too far behind. And you want that gold lead with the Alk. You're just not finding it. Zoomers, if they keep this pressure up, if they melt down some of these tier 2s early on, Undying will run out of space to get Tomato up and running. He's going to have to be very disciplined with where he stays on the map.
Yeah, look at what Gunner's queued up for the Spirit Bear, John. He's going for the Deso. They are just completely committed to making sure these objectives drop as soon as possible. And I think that is the right way to play this. So you've still got this TB that you can rely on in the late game up against the Alk. But you just want to use this LD to try and get objectives down as they found Husky. They commit the coil for that just to make sure they get the kill. But I don't think 4 Zoomers really mind. If it's Husky dying, it's an Enchantress. It's kind of her job to tank any gank that comes their way. And they're not even backing off. They're going straight into Bryle now. They really just want that tier 2 top tower.
Yeah, and Undying will have to throw some bodies here to stop that push as it will just melt. They find a tier 1 bot, but it's not a very big tower now to lose from the side of Zoomers as they just take over that top jungle and there's nothing Undying can do to stop this. Now, with a bot tier 1 clearing out though, I guess Tomato could play in the bot jungle, but it's still risky with the mid tier 1 standing as well. There's a lot of TP points left for Zoomers and they're choking out the Alk really well. Right, like they're still keeping themselves within 1k of the Alchemist draft. And Undying just constantly running his forward.
Oh, they've got the Lone Druid. A nice lift up from Moon Meander. Fairy Fire, Earn. Not going to be enough. Gunner. He's right out of there. Saberlight would have loved to get the duel off on Ocean, but couldn't quite reach. But look at that top tier 2. Brax. Going to take it down. Nice and easy, no Dragon Form necessary, and now he can save that for a team fight. In fact, he might need it right now. He'll pop it. Dragon Tail out, Dubu, a great Dream Core to lock them in. Here comes Tomato, and he would love himself a kill. They break the coil, the duel's out, and they will win the duel. While Bryle does finish off Husky. And that's the sort of thing you love to see from Undying.
Yeah, that's what they need to get done every single time. Just find these pickoffs, get the damage off. With a Radiance up on Tomato, he can have some presence in these fights. Ideally, the Alk doesn't show up. Just keep him away, get him farmed up. That is Saberlight's first dual win, which is, you know, it's the start, but it is fairly late. We're at 15 minutes in. He only has 10 bonus. He needs some damage up front, as he is basically playing the Spacemaker core here for the side of Undying. You're not expecting Brawl to melt these heroes by himself, so you need the offlane to pick up the slack as Tomato farms up. We'll see if he gets more. He needs the blink up really to find the better targets in the back line. And that is still a ways off. 500 in the bank, so still lacking about 1.7k. And once you have that, you should be comfier. However, Zoomers, they lose a couple of heroes, but they're still getting free farm on Sammy. They're still getting really good farm on Gunner. That Desolator you were talking about is fairly close, just lacking about 1.9k gold as well for him, or maybe even less. And once you have that up and running, the bear just rips through everyone. Like there's just no stopping that. You even have the Spirit Vessel up here on Ocean, so if Tomato does show up, he's not going to get that much regen out of his Chemical Rage, as he doesn't have a BKB or something like a Manta to prevent that from being an issue here.
Gonna go into the Radiant jungle now. Dying, just need to avoid 4 Zoomers for another 10 minutes or so. Tomato just needs a bit of time. He's gonna go up top. There is a pretty big creep wave coming in. Meanwhile, 4 Zoomers straight into the Roshan pit. And with this kind of draft, you can very easily take the Roshan early.
Oh yeah. This doesn't last long enough. There is some movement out from Undying though, but not gonna make it in time.
Well, they might. It's still not down. Bryle's there. He scouts it out, but the Roshan is going to go down. Gunner will take the Aegis himself, and now the Dream Coil is going to be dropped by Dubu. It's pretty darn nice. They do have a Sunder. Stun is there. Tomato, he can't get it off in time. The arrow connects. The Jewel is out. It's not looking great. Meanwhile, Sammy, he didn't get his Sunder either. I guess he was just out of mana. As Gunner is going to run away. Bryle on a double kill. And it still ends up being favorable for Undying. I say that the team fight's not really over yet. Moon Meander, he goes down, but now the cleanup. Bryle on a triple kill after Ocean now. They'll get an ultra kill out for Bryle. Gunner, he'll at least get Dubu. Now Bryle needs to run, as there is a bear chasing. Can they get the roots? There it is. Press the attack, not going to help enough. They have the impetus damage, and now Saberlight's in trouble. Gunner's going to dive in with the bear. Or not. Tomato's up. Unstable Concoction, he has the blink. Husky, going to be the target. Saberlight has the jewel, but a nice fear away. But that was definitely a favorable team fight for Undying.
Yeah, they find the bigger trades. Losing Salmon Boy was not great for Zoomers. Of course, Undying didn't enjoy that, but losing Tomato as well sort of hurt how much Undying gained from that. They're going to have to be, again, very careful with how far forward Tomato is committing in these fights. Need some more farm on the Elk. Still maintaining that lead, and it has widened now for Tomato. 11k in total for him. Sammy's now at 9k, so it's a 3k gap. It's starting to be substantial. It needs to be a lot more. We are seeing Tomato save up for the Heaven's Halberd, so they just want the Disarm to deal with either the Terrorblade or to deal with the LD Bear. That could be potent as well. Just need to save up to that point and get started. Zoomers, though, they're probably not too dissuaded from that. Maybe wait out Sammy's next item, wait out the Scotty if you really want to stall the game out. But Gunner is more than willing to just toss his bear forward now. He has the Desolator up. If they manage to get in range of a tower, it is basically gone if they can focus it down. So Undying have to be cautious about that. They are very close to getting Saberlight's blink, but he is surrounded here.
He is. He needs 100 gold just about. No root on the first hit, and they'll give up on it. So he should be able to get that blink now up. It's still a concerning sign when 4 Zoomers have the net worth advantage. And Undying are the ones with the Alk, I've got to say. mean, Sammy is really not that far behind the Alk's farm. He's keeping up quite nicely. And that Skardy's going to be up relatively soon. Ocean, Coil, going to be committed by Dubu. They'll break the link. Brawl still moving in. He wants a team fight. He'll pop the Exorcism. Now they even found another. It'll be Husky in the back, but he's not dead quite yet. Instead, they'd love to chase down Gunner, but he's chasing down Moon Meander instead. Still, he is going to be completely surrounded, but he's not taking that much damage. Saberlight's going to die to Sammy. The duel goes the way of the old D. Now the cleanup's here. Brawl's trying to run. They're going to lose Dubu. Brax, he can't reach for another stun, but it won't really matter. I thought Gunner, with 4 or 5 heroes around him, would die. But that melee form, he's just too tanky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he has way too much durability, and you don't have the itemization on Undying to deal damage. You don't have enough damage up on the LC to really rip through. And the big issue there was Saberlight was caught off by Gunner. They were chasing down Husky first. Gunner was caught off in the right side of their jungle. He got rooted up. He lost more than half his HP, so he couldn't easily commit the duel. And by the time he did, Zoomers was ready. He came in with a Metamorphosis on Sammy and cleaned up. So again, overcommitting there from Undying. Have to be very cautious with how they force these fights out. Once you drop the Dream Coil and find one pick-off, you cannot take the greater fight. Like, you don't have enough control to lock them in, the wider AoE, and you don't have that presence yet on any of these heroes. You do have the disarm up on Tomato. Could help the cause. It's still not damage. They need a lot more in the Alk to flow in, and the gap between Tomato and Sammy Boy is just down to about 1k.
That's definitely very bad news for Undying. They're going to move in and try to go after this tier 1 mid tower, and it looks like it's already been forfeit. 4 Zoomers, just let it go down. It's not really worth even trying to defend it. They may go for a fight. Brax does not have dragon form up, but he does have it very soon. They'll pop the Moonlight. They'll have a gander around, see if they can find a nice, easy target. In fact, they found a pretty big target. Tomato gonna run right into Brax. Dragon Tail stun is out into the arrow. They have him controlled, but now they press the attack, purging the stun off. They'll move in anyway. They get Dubu on the puck. Tomato actually dropping quite low with that Spirit Vessel. He needs to make a run. The bear's on the chase. Tomato, can he get away? They will use up the bear, and it looks like he's gonna be able to blink out. So they only lose the puck. The chase continues. The Tomato should be safe now, unless... Gunner, how lucky can you get? Miss, very unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, you're still happy about that on the side of Zoomers, so you force out the movement of Undying. They had to drop the Dream Coil, and they only find the support. So it's looking a bit dicey now for Undying. They lose their bot tier 1. They might be eyeing the tier 2s now. And
Duel. Saberlight. There's a lot of heroes around there, and he's not really doing any damage. They will still get the Mirana. In with the Exorcism they go. Bryle wants to go after Husky. In fact, never mind, they found the big one. They found the Lone Druid. No melee form for Gunner. He's going to use the Fear, however, and stun up the Alk. Chase continues. Gunner's just a man on the run here. Dubu going to get the vision out. He's trying to control the bear and himself at the same time. He's got another Fear out now. Onto 3 heroes. Still on the run. Tomato has a stun and should be able to get it out in time, but Sammy is now around to help out. Saberlight is there. Still Dream Coil being committed. No Sunder available as he has been silenced up, but he matches it off and gets the Sunder in time, but it means the TB's going to die, and now Gunner's going to die to boot. Brax will get Dubu, but it is nowhere near worth it. 4 Zoomers, they tried to protect Gunner, but it cost them more than it was worth. Some very bad news there for 4 Zoomers.
Oh,
Undying now going to get a bit of breathing room.
So costly from the end of Zoomers, just overcommitting this time on their end, streaming in one by one towards Undying, not respecting the Exorcism, not respecting the potential value from Tomato having extended fights. Like, the longer the fights go, the better you are with Radiance. Tomato's just constantly burning you down, whittling away at your HP. And Bryle, he did have to commit the Exorcism there, so you aren't going to line up that up with a push. But it gave them some very important kills. Bryle, he has his Shiva's Guard up. So they've got some slow on hand to play with. They've got a lot more control to play with, and a better AoE presence now as well. And this is going to make it a little bit harder for the side of Zoomers, especially the aura on the Shivas. Your healing is a bit down, so your Terrorblade sustain is not going to be there, your DK sustain is not going to be as strong. And Undying are finding some tools to play with now. Tomato is very close to building up the AC, lacking the Hyperstone. Still a ways off from that, maybe 1.3k gold, but doesn't take too long for an Alk to hit that mark. So Tomato is almost at the point where he can run around as the Alk and really be a threat. And Zoomers, they might have just fed a bit too much. They still maintain a slight lead, which is never good news with an Alchemist draft. But there is some map to play with for Undying, and they are making up for lost ground quite nicely.
John, let's go to the experts for a second. What's Dota Plus thinking? For Zoomers, 78% their way. So still looking very good, but as you can see from that last team fight, it did dip quite a bit. You've got to be very careful not to throw away this game, as Husky has been caught out. All Zoomers, they've got to be really careful not to allow team fights to go that way again. They've got to have diamond hands, John. They've got to hold on. That's all they need.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's some major spikes here from Undying to play with. Like, they've got the Ag Shard up on Saberlight, so when he duels out, if you're clumped up, all those overwhelming odds will actually really punish that clump up, and that could be pretty big for Undying in these bigger team fights once they break out. They've also got the AC up already on Tomato. Again, doesn't take too much time for an Alk to farm all of that up. And he's reaching the point where the Alchemist is just going to be a beast. You do have the opposing AC up from Gunner to counteract the minus armor you're getting from the Alchemist AC. So it kind of evens out in the end and just stays relatively flat playing fields for both sides. Zoomers are still feeling ahead because the Alchemist is just not that big and needs to be bigger still, although...
Tomato, they did see him channeling that stun, but nobody's going to be around to capitalize off Tomato stunning himself up. Well, Siphon the Spirit Bear, use it up. It's a very tanky bear. It's got the full AC on it now. It's going to be just fine to walk away.
Yeah,
wait a minute,
it's hard
what's
to
the
commit to
shards
that
do
bet.
on Lone Druid now?
It's a Savage Roar buff in 700 AoE, plus 20% move speed and 60 attack speed. So it's actually really strong as a offensive tool there. Less of a defensive control tool if you actually can run. It can also allow you to escape a lot faster as well. However, Undying, they are smoked up here.
Moving in. Again, it's going to be Husky. He's just tanking the gank every time here, Husky. It's actually well worth it for 4 Zoomers to allow that to happen every single time. They do have to commit a smoke to make that happen on the side of Undying. And now the counter initiation is coming. Brax, he spots out Tomato. Saberlight in the Roshan pit. Dubu going to be scouted out as well. Here comes Sammy. Dreamcore is going to be really nice, however. They might turn. Exorcism pump. Buyback is there from Husky. They've lost Brile. They can't fight anymore. Undying need to run. Saberlight looks like he'll have to take this team fight away from his team and just accept the fact that he's going to die. But Gunner's still chasing. He wants Moon Meander now. He wants the captain, and he's going to get the captain. Ensnares him in place. And would you look at that, John? A nice Roshan just sitting there waiting for Sammy.
Yeah, it's going to be a big rush to take. That is Aegis and Cheese this time for 4 Zoomers. Having that second life on the TV is always nice. And Sammy's pretty darn big now. He's got the Scotty up, so a lot of the sustain on the DP, a lot of the sustain on the Alk just doesn't come out at all. And they're not going to be feeling tanky up front. That's the constant issue for Undying. Like, they've gotten so much value here from the Spirit Vessel on Ocean. The Scotty in play now as well means Undying can't actually sustain and treat these fights as much as they'd want to. So have to be cautious. Maybe consider defensive items up here. Maybe a BKB for Tomato helps the cause out, but he is just trying to rush into the Abyssal to get some control out. And their towers are still just going to melt. Sammy has a DD, and, well, they can rip right through to his objectives.
Min pops the glyph, gets a Fade Bolt off. And Sammy, not going to be dissuaded, will continue moving forward. They'll get the tier 2. Things still looking very good now. A 7k net worth lead for the Zoomers. Dubu just orbed right in. And Dreamcore on an illusion. Nice little bait play from Sammy. They might even be able to fight. They've got a DD rune still down on the TP, but Brawl lift up Moon Meander. They found him. They get the Aegis. Dying. That should be enough for them, but they'll go for the fight anyway. Brax, he'll pop his BKB. Tomato gonna stun himself up. They'll go back onto Braille. Braille looking pretty darn bad. Will die. Sammy right onto Moon Meander, gets the Rubik, now onto the Alchemist. That's the big one. Tomato understands he can't really fight into this. They are just way too tanky, and he doesn't have the damage output. He'll get controlled up, he'll try to fight back up against Brax, but his life is forfeit. 4 down for the price of an Aegis. And Gunnar immediately to the tier 4 towers. They found Sableye as well. They're going to get a full team wipe now. And those tier 4s are not going to last long. This might be GG, and it's called. Moon Meander calls it. 4 Zoomers now. Ahead 2-1 up against Undying. And I'm seeing a bit of a pattern here for 4 Zoomers, John. If they can just force Undying to roam around the map and not allowed... If they're not allowed to just protect Tomato, it seems as though they just kind of fall apart. And we've seen it for the second game during this grand final now. They pick these drafts that just push towers way too quick, and they can just get to the other side of the map ASAP and push another tower. And it just makes it so Tomato's left alone all the time, and he's just never able to secure farm for himself because the map just gets taken over eventually by the Zoomers.
Yeah, and we saw Undying do that in game 2. Where they were running that Lycan, they were clearing out the map fast, they were being the aggressors, shutting down the map. So it looks like both sides have to take that into consideration. Their win conditions are on that early push, on applying that pressure on both opposing POS ones. That should lead to a very interesting take on the 4th game. Of course, Zoomers 1 game up. They're 1 game away from clearing out this grand finals. Undying on the ropes. Need to find 2 games in a row to bounce this back in. We'll see what they bring out for game number 2, but game number 4, but it's been a great back and forth already, and I'm keen to see what happens next.
I'm very excited as well, John. Of course, there is going to be a 10-minute break, and right after the break, we'll be back with the 4th game draft. I suppose since we never got back to that conversation, we can talk about it in chat for a bit. I can tell people why pancakes are subpar when it comes to crepes. We'll have a chat. We'll see you guys soon.